Hello everyone. As promised, I'm back with a new topic, which is how to write a scholarship statement and statement of purpose for LLM. Now, we all know that a scholarship statement and a statement of purpose forms the essence of a LLM application. So apart from your CV and your grades, these are the two things which are very important in a master's application. Now, a scholarship statement. Now, a lot of colleges give out scholarships on the basis of need. A lot of colleges give out scholarships on the basis of merit. Now, even if a college is giving out scholarship on the basis of need, do not get deterred, because a lot of time people would be like, what do I write here? Like, how do I justify myself? You should always club merit and need together. So you should write about your achievements. At the same time, you should say that because I have such an avid interest in this particular field of law, and because my financial situation does not allow me to pursue my field of interest, and you should always outline your achievements to show why you would be a good fit in that field of law. You should couple all these three things together. Now, there was one line which I used in my own scholarship statement, which I am reproducing here, which is, a curious mind should not be deterred by price tags. Now, what this essentially means is that I am someone who is meritorious, who has an interest in law, who wants to pursue their LLM, who has a curious mind, who has a zeal to learn. But at the same time, if that zeal to learn is limited or bounded because I do not have sufficient resources to actually go abroad and study, then the curious mind is definitely going to be weighed down by a price tag. And that is exactly the aim which you need to achieve. You need to justify to them that you are eligible for the scholarship, not only because you have the need for it, but also because you have the merit to go to that place on your own. And if you do not get the financial need, your worth, your merit, your value is going to get wasted. You will not be able to afford a study abroad without that particular scholarship. This is something which needs to come out in your scholarship statement. Now, I would suggest that when you are writing a scholarship statement, you should always start with highlighting your achievements. Also, for example, you are like, I applied for the corporate law program, and my CV also had a lot of corporate law achievements like publications, internships, book chapters, etc. So, for instance, if you are applying for a corporate law program, start with writing, firstly, why you are interested in that particular field of law. Secondly, what have you done in that particular field of law, your achievements? For instance, if you got an outstanding grade in your corporate law paper, or for instance, you have 5 publications around corporate law. So things like that. Then move on to why you may not be able to afford an admission in that particular university. Talk about your own financial status, talk about maybe your family's financial status. For instance, if your father is the only earning member, you can highlight that in your scholarship statement. You can highlight, if you are not very well placed, or if you are still a student, and if you have student loans on you. So things like that, you can mention that in the financial need bit. Then forge a connection between your achievements and financial need. Go on to state that, as like, don't write as you can see, but yeah, I mean, like, bring out that connection, saying that I am interested in the field of corporate law. I have done such and such things. However, even if I secure an admission, I may not be able to reach there because my financial status does not allow me to do so. Also, while writing this, you should also link your achievements to the value which you are going to bring to the university. So you can say that, for instance, I know that a particular university has the following clubs, and I am an avid speaker. So if I come to the university, I can enhance the value of the debating culture, or the culture of discussion. Or I know that a particular journal is published by the university. I am an avid writer. I have so many publications. If I come to the university, I can meaningfully contribute to the blogs and the journals of the university. Or I am someone who has a keen interest in research, and I can actually be of help when I come to the university. I can become a research assistant with the professors. So things like that, where you can actually say how you are going to add value to the university. Also, like merit versus money. Now, you need to bring this out that you are a meritorious person. You may not afford to go there. And that's where the money comes in. Money should not be a limitation, should not be a bound on merit. And that is something, that is the idea and the essence that you should be bringing out in your scholarship statement. Therefore, it is very important for you to highlight your achievements. Also, do not faff. So, like, don't go on a rant saying, I have 6 publications, I have done mooting, I have done this, I have done that. That's a very boring way of presenting your statement. Construct it as a story. Construct it in a way, in a flow, that the reader actually wants to read your scholarship statement, and they don't think that they are just citing achievements after achievements, because they have your CV with them. Obviously, they know you have these achievements. You need to present it in such a manner that it's interesting for the person to read. So make it that way. Do not make it a compilation of your achievements. Think of it as weaving a story around your achievements and presenting to them why you, a meritorious person, should not be stopped from pursuing a master's program due to lack of financial resources. That's the essence, that's the aim of your scholarship statement. Now, a personal statement, or a statement of purpose, as we call it. The first thing which you should do is, you should have a focused approach. As I said before, if there's a particular program for which you are applying, for instance, corporate laws or IPR or technology, you should always structure your statement of purpose in such a way that you are aiming at that particular program. For instance, if you have 20 achievements listed out in your CV, now maybe 6 of them relate to corporate laws, 5 of them to IPR, and 3 of them are general. Now try to bring out those 6 achievements pertaining to corporate laws if you're applying for a corporate laws program in your statement of purpose. You may or may not choose to bring out the rest of them because you're applying for LLM and corporate laws. Also, there's generally a word limit for statement of purpose. So you should not put a lot of information there and exceed your word limit. It should be crisp, succinct, brief, to the point. Because the admissions committee is going to get a lot of personal statements, a lot of scholarship statements. They are not going to sit and they're not going to read through each and every word of what you've written. Make your point in as short and as few words as possible. Now, the second thing, which I personally think was an add-on to my personal statement was, so I put in an instance, the moment where I realized why I want to do law. So you can choose to put that in, because I mean, that's a life-changing decision. A lot of times people would be like, we read a John Grisham novel and we started liking law. You can totally write that as long as you substantiate it with, like, with something more concrete than reading a novel and getting interested into law. So yeah, like what I wrote was like, when I was in my class 12, I got a torts book, which my cousin was reading. I started reading it and I found it very interesting. And I was like, yeah, this is an interesting field. That led me to read a little more about it. And I was like, yes, this is the field I want to be in. And that's where my journey started. So something of that sort, where you can bring out a story of how law began for you. After that, you can go on to, why do you want to do your master's? Now, that's another important thing, which apart from a personal statement, you should also know why you want to do your master's. A lot of times people will think that LLM would be a gateway to better jobs, better salaries, etc. Now, do not write that in your personal statement. When you are writing a personal statement, make it a long-term goal kind of thing. So you can write things like, I want to pursue an academic career, and LLM would help me take a deep dive into the existing field of law. Before that, you can also put in, like for example, you start with why law, how I began my journey into law. Move on to what you are doing currently. If you are a law firm associate in a corporate law department, you can say that, like, after I ended my law school, I was chosen among a batch of 100 or 150 people to work in a tier 1 law firm. I have dealt with the following areas of corporate law. I have had so many publications in the field of corporate law. Now I want to move further and I want to take a deep dive into the field of corporate law. I want to further understand the dynamics and mechanics of corporate law. If you want to choose, if you want to switch careers, for example, a lot of people want to go into research post masters. You can always say that I have seen the practical side of corporate law. Now I want to move on to the academic or the research side of it. And that is why I want to understand corporate law in a deeper perspective. You can also talk about how the comparative analysis of this field really attracts you, and you want to understand how law functions in different jurisdictions. And it is for this exposure that you want to go do your master's. So these are the kind of reasons and the rationale for a long-term goal of master's, which should be put in your personal statement. Now, forge linkages. So when you're writing your personal statement, it shouldn't look like an isolated paragraphs. It should look, as I said earlier, it should look like a story. So when you're talking about it, you talk about why do you want to do law? What have you done till now? Why do you want to do your master's? It should all have a connection, a flow to it. Again, structure it as a story. Structure it in a way that the reader wants to read it. It generates their interest. Do not write it as a dry piece. And that's one thing why you should not read someone, like, a lot of people have this habit of reading 10 personal statements and then maybe taking one paragraph from somewhere, the other from somewhere, and then creating their own personal statement. Now, that is not going to reflect your own story. Write your own story, write your own experience. And trust me, if you write the truth, that's the best kind of statement of purpose you can write. Because a lot of people are going to take the tailor-made statement of purposes and reproduce that. The admissions committee will understand that whether this piece is original or not. So write your own thing, write your own story, be innovative about it. Do not cut, copy, paste someone else's personal statement or something which is readily available online. So yeah, that's there. And the next thing, which was actually not planned in my presentation, but yeah, how to get into a top tier LLM program. So someone asked me this question on LinkedIn. And so I thought I'll have a brief discussion around this as well. So firstly, you need to choose what area of law do you want to do your LLM in. If you are sure that you want to do a master's later on, whenever in your life, start building your CV according to that. So you cannot have 20 achievements from the field of IPR and then go ahead and apply for the corporate law field. That would be a mismatch. The admissions committee would be like, but why? You are so good in IPR. Why do you want to apply for a corporate law master's? So build your CV accordingly. Make your CV a well-rounded one. One of the most important thing are grades. So generally the Oxbridge universities, they consider grades, gold medals, etc. Like, they give those things a lot of importance. So always try to maintain a high grade. Second is extracurricular activities, which should be built in your CV. Now, moods, publications, paper presentations, maybe being part of the organizing team of some conferences, rapporteuring, etc. Also, in terms of internships. Now, if you have, for example, if you have 10 internships and all of them are in law firms, that doesn't give across the picture of a very well-rounded personality. Try to have maybe, like, if you can have, like, out of 10, maybe 7 law firm internships, but 3 or 4 of them, try to have them maybe in an NGO, in a research organization. Try to intern under a judge if you can, because that is something which is given a lot of importance. So I had 2 internships, with one with a Supreme Court judge and one with a Delhi High Court judge. So that's something which is really important, because they give importance to people who worked with government functionaries. Then also, I mean, that's, I mean, not a lot of people have that kind of thing in their CV, but if you can, and if you can show that you've been some self-starter or an innovator. For example, a lot of people start literary websites or magazines while they are still in law school. Something of that sort, if you've done, that would be a huge advantage in your CV, because that would be something which very few people will be having. So you can again focus on something of that sort as well. Then obviously you have to write an effective personal statement. That's one of the most important things when you are making your LLM application. Now, good grades, obviously you have to have a decent grade. And by decent grade, I mean you need to be in the top 5 of your class. You have to get, I mean, if your CGPA, like for us, our CGPA metric was 8. So anything above 7 was considered extremely good. And only 3 or 4 people would get above 7. So you have to maintain that kind of high level grades if you want to get into a top tier LLM program. Also, extracurricular activities. So some universities like Harvard, they pay a lot of importance to other extracurricular activities as well. For example, maybe being associated with an NGO, or being associated with a legal project, or things like that. So basically that brings out the leadership qualities in a person. So you need to show something extra to them apart from your grades and maybe your publications and your presentations. You have to have that edge over others. So you need to figure out where can you get that edge from. For instance, there are these projects which, like my college has project 39A, or maybe the one on death, the project on death penalty, etc. A lot of student researchers are associated in these projects. So they get a flavor of real life. They actually visit prisons. They actually do, like, do ground level work. If you have something of that sort built in your CV, that really helps you in getting through a top tier LLM college, because these universities pay attention to who is someone who's doing a regular kind of CV building and who is someone who's adding that extra zing to their CV. So yeah, that's about it. Do not get worried or do not get intimidated that a top tier LLM program would require a lot of things. All you need to do is spend your 5 years in a perfect manner trying to build up your skills and your CV. And any top tier LLM program is going to be lucky to have you. Also, you need to show this to them, that why are they lucky to have you. So with someone who writes with that confidence, that I am the one who's going to add value to your university, that kind of person is definitely an asset to them, and they're definitely going to take you. So thank you, and hopefully I'll be releasing a new video soon. If you have any doubts about how to write a personal statement, how to write a scholarship statement, or any doubts about the LLM entrance, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can always message me there. Anything else you want a written material around, if anyone wants a sample of a personal statement, I will be ready to hand that out as well. Thank you. Stay safe, stay home.